I'm Dr. Scout with LGBT Health Link. Each week we bring you the top LGBT wellness news stories in 3 minutes or less. We've got a lot of stories this week, so for October 20th, 2014, let's get right to it. First story, there's a new resource for LGBT cultural competency trainings. The National LGBT Cancer Network, our partner organization in conjunction with the New York State Department of Health, has just released the first of its kind best practice manual to help trainers building or delivering LGBT cultural competency trainings. Read more about it on Huffington Post in the blog post Wild Times and LGBT cultural competency trainings. Next, in a story we're happy to have helped been a small part of, Missouri Coalition pushes state and national leadership on LGBT health. Last week, HRC released their annual Healthcare Equality Index, a ranking of welcoming hospitals all across the nation. The big news this year is how Missouri shot up from 37th to 6th place in the nation after local advocates targeted hospitals for change. Read more about it on Huffington Post and learn how to replicate it. In our next story, there's a compelling mainstream media op-ed about how marriage hurts our health. Or lack of marriage, of course. The Orlando Sentinel published an op-ed this week about the sad circumstances of Liz Molina, currently in the end stages of cervical cancer and poised to die without being able to see her 13-year-old daughter who's currently in the custody of her disapproving family, or without any legal ties to the unborn son her partner is carrying. We agree with the author. This intolerance is wearing thin. LGBTQ women 2.7 times less likely to have a pap smear. A new study from Australia shows that LGBTQ women are less likely to have pap smears. Those who'd never slept with a man were 2.7 times less likely to have pap smears. Medical experts warn this could leave them at higher risk for cervical cancer. And also remember, just last week we reported that over 1/3 of FTM trans guys were also not up to date on their cervical cancer screenings. And the State Department allows employee health insurance to cover transgender services. Read the whole Washington Post story about it, but special praise to Secretary of State John F. Kerry for what we're going to name as our quote of the week. As he says, quote, "It's about fairness and respect for our employees, but it's also about showing the world we mean what we say and we say what we mean. It's tougher to tell other countries to provide equal opportunity if we're not living that out ourselves." Hear, hear. And there's a story about how bias discourages LGBT scientists from coming out. An excellent new article this week explored how science may be a haven for many LGBT scientists, but on the other hand, many fear disclosing their sexual orientation or gender identity. Since it's overwhelmingly out LGBT scientists who drive our health research and intervention knowledge building, this negative climate has a stronger impact on all of our health than many of us may realize. And what's the number one factor for youth avoiding unsafe sex? Talking to their parents. In a new study by Rutgers University researchers, close family connections and positive dialogue emerged as the number one factor associated with reduction in unsafe sex practices and other risky behaviors. Once again, being welcoming to your gay kids could save their lives. In our last study this week, American Indian and Alaskan Native LGB youth experience high rates of abuse. A new study explored the extremely high rates of alcohol abuse by a sample of urban American Indians and Alaskan Natives. They also found between 60 to 70% of the drinking youth reported physical neglect, sexual abuse, and emotional abuse. No information as to exactly why this is the case, but of course, everyone suspects stigma is at the core. That's it. That's your Wellness Roundup for this week. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week, same time, same place.